Hey guys, welcome to Midwest Fantasy Football League Week 15. In semifinal number 1 this week in the Midwest Fantasy Football Playoffs, John Bob and Chris defeated Pray for Mojo Jason 104.4 to 101.6, a 2.8 point margin of victory. Really close game. This was a margin that came right down to the wire, with Jason needing approximately 7 points from Mohamed Sanu on Monday Night Football. Unfortunately, Atlanta decided to pound the running game against Tampa Bay, and Devonta Freeman went off for a huge game, but pretty much all the wide receivers came up empty. For Chris, his team snagged a win behind 21.6 points from the Los Angeles Rams, and 17.9 points from Alvin Kamara. After the Carson Wentz injury last week, Jason made the wise call of picking up and starting free agent acquisition Blake Bortles, who put up 28 points this week for Jacksonville, over fellow free agent pickup Jimmy Garoppolo, who put up 22 points of his own. With the loss, Jason is the final previous champion to be eliminated, meaning Season 6 champion will be a new champion and a new name on the trophy this year. And with the win, Chris finally snaps the number 1 curse, finally getting a win in the first game ever for the number 1 seed. We've had number 1 seeds win their second game to take 3rd place, but no 1 seed has ever played in a championship game. In semifinal number 2, Derek and his love of bouncing boobies defeats Saved by the Bell Brandon 121.4 to 84.7, a 36.7 point margin of victory. Todd Gurley III, 46.5 points. Gurley was the top scoring player in this matchup, but Derek needed that huge game from Gurley in order to outpace the 28 points that Le'Veon Bell put up himself for Brandon on Sunday Night Football versus New England. Those 2 running backs were the top 2 scoring players in this matchup. Number 3 overall was the Baltimore Ravens defense, putting up 20 points for Derek. For Brandon, this was just a down week for him. His team really didn't show up in the semifinals. Besides Le'Veon Bell's big game, there were 3 guys on his team that put up about 11 to 12 points. And then after that, basically everybody put up between like 2 and 7 points. Even his bench players, there was not a whole lot of performance this week from anybody on your roster. With the loss, Brandon drops into the 3rd place game versus Jason. Derek moves on to face Chris for the championship. I think this is the first time we've ever had the 1 versus the 2 seed in the championship. For the deuce! I win because y'all drafted Josh. Defeats Down Goes Teddy Lee, 92.9 to 75.9, a 17-point margin. Cam Newton, who took over the starting role for Josh's team after Derek Carr was traded away to Nick midseason, was the dominant player in this matchup, scoring 31.5 points in this game versus Green Bay. It's a good thing that Cam put up all 31 of those points, as no other player for Josh put up more than 10 points in his matchup. And for the Teddies, Lee's top scoring guy was Devontae Adams, putting up 14 points alongside Robert Woods with 13.5 points. A good week out of his wide receiver starting combo. Lee had an opportunity to grab the win here. He decided to start Jared Goff, coming off of maybe a down week last week over the injury-plagued and just off of IR, Aaron Rodgers. But Aaron Rodgers put up about 11.5 points more than Jared Goff, and Lee decided to start the defense for the LA Chargers, only scoring about 0.5 point in their defensive performance. So had he gotten 6 or 7 points out of a defense, he would have grabbed a win here. In Deuce semifinal number 2, Dak Deuce Drew defeats T-Bowing 747 Nick 125 to 121, a 4-point margin of victory. Hi, Steve Cat. Do you want to come sit up on that?
I spared your lives because I need you to help me rid the world of Britain's top secret agent, the only man who can stop me now. We must kill Austin Powers.
This was a matchup of running backs as Drew's combo of Christian McCaffrey, Kenyon Drake, and Jerick McKinnon combined to put up 60.2 points, narrowly outpacing Nick's Lamar Miller, Devonta Freeman, and Dion Lewis's 52.6 points. This is a high-scoring matchup with 125 to 121. There were 9 different players that scored at least 17 points in this matchup. Hi. He's purring a lot and wheezing. Are you sick? Each team did run out a dud this week, with Drew's Jesse James scoring only 1.5 points. 1.7 points, and Nick trotting out Nick Rose, who laid yet another goose egg and was actually cut this week from Washington, only to be claimed by the Chargers. So you might have better luck kicking for the Chargers rather than the Washington Redskins. Hopefully you can do better than the 2 points that you've combined to put up over the last 3 weeks from this kicker. As for Drew, Jesse James only put up 1.7 points, but he was the guilty party who dropped the touchdown pass on first down that Pittsburgh had won the game with, only to be overturned as not a catch. So despite him only having 1.7 points, a touchdown would have pushed this margin out quite a bit further. This week's beer review, I'm drinking a Steve Gatt. No, I'm drinking a bubbler from New Glarus. It's a wheat beer. I got the last 2 6-packs at Steve's Liquors a couple weeks ago, so I really enjoy it. It's not a real popular beer from them, but I like it because I like wheat beers. So, and finally, we come to championship week. Dun 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 dun. So in the championship this week, we have Chris versus Derek. We have 2 new team owners who have never made it into the championship before. Can Chris avoid falling to Derek after the rash of injuries that he had this week, losing both Antonio Brown and Rex Burkhead for the upcoming weekend? Can Derek get out of his own way and not pull another Johnny Manziel moment? In the third place game, we have Jason versus Brandon. Unfortunately, neither of you really care that you're here because you'd much rather be playing for a championship, so sorry about that. And in the Deuce Championship, we have Nick versus Lee. Will Nick secure a Deuce Championship and have to try to figure out a way to slide Tim Tebow into the Deuce name? Will Lee become the first league double Deuce? As Josh fought it off last year, Lee's in jeopardy this year. Good luck to everybody this week in your matchups. Have a good Christmas. I don't know if I'll have a recap video next week. I'm only going to be home one night next week, which is Tuesday night, which would be possible for me to be able to record it. But we're going to be packing for the cabin. I don't know if I'll have time. If I don't have time, it'll be another week before I get this out, and I'll be able to send something out. I might record a short one on the road, depending on what's going on and what works on my schedule. So we'll see what happens for next week, but it might not be a full week until the next video comes out. A full 2 weeks, sorry. Full 2 weeks before the next video comes out. Additionally, I was up at Pope 1.0's house this weekend, and I've also talked to Derek as he surprise attacked me and gave me a visit last night. And I talked to Nick. We've had at least 4 people who are interested in doing another Potato DFS week in week 17. So I will be putting those numbers together probably next week, Tuesday or Wednesday, and giving an email out. If you get your picks in before Thursday, you're going to be able to play anybody you want from Thursday. Otherwise, your picks will have to be in before Saturday, like the weekend of New Year's Eve, and not Christmas Eve. Steve Cass says, has a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year if we don't get a chance to talk to you. Me too. Have a good one. Bye.